Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jess De Los Santos, and it is my honor to be your host for the 10th breakout track of the Philippine Digital Convention 2020, entitled eTRAVEL and Tourism, brought to you by PLDT Enterprise, Smart, and ePLDT. We're excited to have you join us as we continue to help you discover how you can pivot your enterprise towards success to ensure lasting and effective change as we enter the new future of work. Truly, Philippine Digital Convention 2020 is set to be like no other, as this is the first all-virtual iteration of the convention, but as we like to say at PLDT, pivot or perish, and this virtual convention is but a manifestation of how we've transformed in light of the current business landscape. Likewise, we hope that it serves as a venue for you to find ways for your organization to continuously evolve. But before we get to that, we would once again like to thank our official event partners. As the travel and tourism industry transforms and reinvents itself, organizations and companies within the sector need to keep up with emerging trends. This session deep dives into the latest innovative solutions and platforms that can help stimulate the growth and recovery of the travel and tourism industry. But just because we're virtual doesn't mean that this year's session is going to be any less interactive or engaging. We would love to hear from you. So do share your thoughts and insights by keying them in the chat box or by posting them in your respective social media accounts with the official event hashtags #BraceForImpact and #PHDigicon2020. Also, get a chance to win exciting raffle prizes just by answering our feedback form, which will be made available after this session, so stay tuned for that. Our next speaker is an analyst expert for more than 20 years. He advises companies across a range of industries on disruptive technologies. He focuses on how new technologies, such as blockchain and AI, can give users a future competitive advantage. And he is here to give us the latest news, trends, and developments on the future innovation and flexibility in travel and tourism. Get ready to experience the impact as we start off this session with Global Data Chief Analyst, Tech Thematic Research, Stuart Ravens.
Hi, good morning. I'm Stuart Ravens. I'm Chief Analyst in Global Data's Thematic Research Team. Thanks to PLDT for inviting me to speak today. I talk to companies across the world about the major themes that affect them and the sectors they operate in. At the start of this year, we told everyone that sustainability was the most important theme in 2020 and how quickly that changed. Travel and tourism has been hit hard. While some industries like retail have a virtual equivalent to physical delivery of their services, there's no virtual equivalent to tourism. People just stop going on holiday. And the virtual equivalent to business travel is still no travel. The industry expected a quick rebound once lockdowns ended, but that did not occur. Governments shifting travel corridor policies, travelers' inability to get insurance cover for COVID-related cancellations, and second waves of infections all contribute to an overbearing reluctance to book expensive holidays. As we enter the fourth quarter of 2020, traveler uncertainty has still not been allayed. And reassurance is critical if the industry is to accelerate traveler spending in 2021. Airlines had originally started to increase capacity, but in light of reduced demand, many announcing the scaling back of capacity in September, October, and November. Airlines are pulling out of major hubs, and others are announcing significant pullbacks of flights. The recent surge of new cases in Europe has led to significant changes with regards to travel corridors. And my home country of the UK is testament to how the indecision of governments can and the way they impose quarantine on arrivals from new countries like Spain, France, Croatia, Portugal has heaped more pain on operators, as it leads to the government's indecision has led to uncertainty among travelers and a reluctance to book holidays. If we look at the share price performance of global data's sector indices, we can see travel and tourism is right at the bottom. While some sectors are returning to January's valuation, travel and tourism is still suffering very hard from the impact of COVID. All subsectors in the travel and tourism industry have been impacted, and it's only really holiday home rentals which have shown any positive signs through the increase of staycationing and the ability to enforce social distancing controls and guarantee hygiene standards with a single property rental. And it should be no surprise that amidst all this gloom surrounding the entire industry at present, Airbnb submitted a draft registration to the SEC in the US for an initial public offering. Many predict a blockbuster IPO of this household name. So the short-term rental market has bounced back quicker than traditional hotels. However, Airbnb has not been immune to the impact on the travel and tourism industry. Its Q2 results to June 2020 were down 67% from the previous year. I really like this slide. It's Global Data's News Sentiment Index, and we track this for 18 different sectors. As you can see, travel and tourism has been hit hard. We analyze press releases within specific industries and allocate whether this is a positive or negative sentiment within each of those. And as you can see, compared to other industries, travel and tourism has had much far worse press than other sectors. There was the rebound as countries exited their lockdowns, and that there are still more positive stories within the travel and tourism sector, and that's likely because the industry is looking forward to a rebound in 2021. But as we can see, other industries that could adapt, at least partially, have shown a much quicker rebound. And certainly if we compare against the technology sector, which has basically underpinned the digitization and the virtual delivery of goods and services, particularly in e-commerce and supporting working from home, travel and tourism has suffered a great deal in comparison. The impact on travel and tourism has been largely the same across the world. In Asia Pacific, travel restrictions are still largely dictating, and these remain in place in many places across Asia Pacific. Furthermore, restrictions on people when they return home are also playing a role in deterring people from booking holidays. A fair amount of travel to the Asia Pacific region is often long haul from the West, and flight capacity and availability still remain suppressed. Global data forecasts that international arrivals into the 62 largest tourism markets will fall by nearly 35% in 2020. And we also note that uncertainty is increasing, so that figure could well increase as countries handle or have to tackle the grip of those second waves. And tourism spending will fall broadly in line with the decline in tourism flows. It's actually slightly a larger figure, and we forecast that inbound expenditure globally will fall by 38%. Although domestic tourism expenditure is expected to fare better, with a projected decline of just 28%. Job losses are announced with increasing regularity, and we're seeing job losses across all of the industry subsectors. This autumn and winter will be particularly difficult as furlough schemes start to expire, and the industry is waiting with bated breath whether these furlough schemes will be extended. So airlines continue to struggle badly. Delta registered a 3.9 billion adjusted pre-tax loss for the June quarter as its revenues fell by more than 11 billion compared to last year. And this is not an outlier. In June, IATA estimated that 2020 losses will be the biggest in aviation history as COVID-19 lays waste to travel. Global carriers will lose 84 billion in 2020 and nearly 16 billion in 2021. And these losses will come from a total fall in revenues of 419 billion. And these are really eye-watering figures. The car rental sector has suffered. Low tourist demand means many cars are being parked. Players are struggling, and despite negotiating an extension to payment terms, Hearts has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. In the cruise line sector, some of the highest profile stories around COVID focused on cruise liners that were stranded, that weren't allowed to dock, with COVID-19 spreading throughout the ships in the early stages of the virus. But in August, MSC became the first major operator to resume operations when the Grandiosa embarked on a Mediterranean voyage. The industry awaited the outcome of that voyage with great anticipation, because it wanted to plan for a return to wider scale. Hopes were severely dented with the news from the TUI-operated Mein Schiff 6, with the announcement that a dozen crew members tested positive in Greece. However, just 2 days ago, the Greek authorities then announced that the positive results were actually false positives. So maybe some positive signs within the cruise sector. Intermediaries, they're beholden to what happens in other sectors, and they're the link between providers and consumers. But we still think that once travel starts to return, business will pick up as people see them as necessary, helpful link. Collaborations on the rise, with Booking.com and TUI forming the most notable partnerships so far, but we expect many more to happen. But that's not to say that some players have failed to weather the storm. We're seeing numerous job cuts and businesses folding. In lodging, the first half of the year placed great strain on the largest hotel chains. Marriott reported an operating loss of 154 million in the second quarter. And the impact on the industry has ramped up consolidation rumours, with Accor and IHG refusing to comment on reports they're set to merge. However, there is pent-up demand for tourism. Your customers will return when they feel it is safe to do so. And the word that I used at the beginning of this presentation was reassurance. Reassurance is the industry's mantra for short-term survival. In the short term, all travel and tourism industry players have to use this downtime wisely. Business restructuring, refurbishments, and investments in technologies that reassure travelers. Because from the moment tourists leave their homes to the moment they return, it's the industry's collective responsibility to ensure the highest levels of hygiene and safety. One weak link in the chain can destroy traveller confidence. So airlines and airports must work together to allay fears of contracting the virus in transit. And in the lodging sector, there has to be a huge focus on high hygiene standards and promoting them to tourists to instill confidence in potential guests. This could be increasing the use of contactless technologies and advanced track and trace. Moving to the medium term, companies have to prepare for a potential change in how customers see the world and be prepared to adapt swiftly, preempt how tourist demand and expectations may change, and adjust product and marketing strategies accordingly. Invest in effective marketing campaigns, incorporating the learnings from the COVID-19 crisis, because it's through marketing and those communication channels to tourists that you'll essentially reassure them and help them to have the confidence to book new travel in the future. Maintain the momentum of domestic tourism. As we saw earlier, domestic tourism has really suffered slightly less than inbound tourism. So build on that momentum. In the long term, prepare for a market rebound that might require a very different product or service to that needed now within a very different competitive environment. There could be a potential long-term shift to reduce business travel as people have become more confident in video conferencing. So hotels need to look to market the hygiene standards provided by daily professional housekeeping, as this is a potential advantage over accommodation sharing sites. Continue to reevaluate the situation, and if necessary, adapt your branding and product and service and marketing messages as required. because one thing is for sure, consumer behaviour will not be static. This brings me to the end of my presentation. My key messages today are that the travel and tourism industry will return, but things will not quite be the same, but we will get through this. Investing in hygiene and maximising traveller reassurance from the moment they leave home to the time they return is critical to the early revitalisation of the industry. Thanks again for listening, and thanks to PLDT for inviting me. Please stay safe.
Thank you, Stuart. Indeed, the tourism industry must adapt to changing customer needs and focus on reassurance. And now let's hear it from our next speaker. She is the current Secretary of the Department of Tourism after being appointed by President Rodrigo Duterte in 2018. She attended the University of the Philippines and pursued an undergraduate and master's degree in economics. Please welcome Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puya.
Mr. Manuel V. Pangilinan, Chairman and CEO of the PLDT Group, Mr. Al Panillo, President and CEO, Smart Communications and Chief Revenue Officer of PLDT, Mr. Jovi Hernandez, President and CEO, ePLDT Group, SVP and Head, PLDT and Smart Enterprise, Mr. Javier Lagdameo, Vice President, PLDT Enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, good day. On behalf of the Department of Tourism, I would like to thank PLDT for organizing the Philippine Digital Convention 2020 and for inviting us to share how the Department of Tourism has pivoted towards digital technologies and tools, enabling us to adapt and thrive in this volatile, complex, and disruptive world. The year 2020 will most certainly go down in history as one of humankind's turning points. The COVID-19 pandemic brought about tumultuous disruption of industries. It compelled us to change our habits, lifestyles, routines, and our ways of working. We never imagined the world and our society as we find it today. The establishment security checks in the past have evolved to include temperature checks. Our social venues have physical protective barriers. Our must-have item is either medical alcohol or a hand sanitizer. And we are constantly reminded to practice physical distancing and wear our masks and face shields everywhere we go. These health and safety precautions are now part of our daily lives, and it is a matter of survival that we adopt them. Beyond survival, adapting to the emerging trends in our business context is key to our strategy to restart tourism in support of economic recovery and ensure the sector's resilience. We started with fundamental policies to ensure the implementation of public health and safety measures as a prerequisite for the reopening of our tourism destinations. The DOT has issued as early as May 22 a series of guidelines prescribing minimum health and safety protocols for various tourism sectors such as hotel accommodations, tourist land transport services, restaurants, MICE facilities, island and beach destinations, travel and tour operators, and most recently, recreational diving establishments. To help our stakeholders meet and satisfy these guidelines, the department has encouraged the use or adoption of digital apps, online platforms, and other technological tools, and we have endeavored to walk our talk in this advocacy. We upgraded our accreditation system to an online platform, allowing applications and verifications to be accomplished online for greater efficiency and ease in issuing the DOT accreditation and a certificate of authority to operate to accommodation establishments, considering that this is a requirement to reopen in the new normal. We have also assisted our stakeholders in digitizing their operations and adopting contactless transactions, paving their shift towards a low-touch economy. Since April, the DOT optimized its training and education platforms by conducting several webinars to impart knowledge and know-how to our stakeholders and tourism employees on how to transact business online, create digital marketing plans for a global audience, and even hold virtual tours for tourists wherever they are in the world. Technology has provided an invaluable way for us to connect to our tourists, stakeholders, and the tourism industry workforce while physical meetings are not yet possible. In June, we began taking concrete steps to reopen tourism-related establishments. For this, we rolled out two digital apps that were developed in partnership with Talino Venture Labs. These are the SafePass Express, an incident management and contact tracing platform for hotels and restaurants, and the Eat In Express, an app that helps restaurants with digital ordering and kitchen management. Both are available for free to all DOT accredited establishments. In recent months, the use of digital tools became crucial to the reopening of our tourism destinations. In September, we launched Baguio City's digital travel management and monitoring system called the Visitors Information and Travel Assistance, or the Visita platform, one of the critical factors that made the Region Reef travel corridor possible. This travel corridor, or Green Lane, which commenced operations earlier in October, allowed inter-regional travel between Baguio City and the provinces of Region 1, namely Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Pangasinan, and La Union. Through the Visita platform, authorities can keep a watchful eye on visitor activities, thus protecting tourists and the communities within the new travel corridor. Its features include a visitor web dashboard for account registration, travel registration, payments, QR coupon reading, and dispensing travel advisories and tourism information, a site portal for the profile registration of tourism establishments, services, and sites. It also hosts the check-in and out mechanism and centralized contact tracing database, an admin interface for the real-time monitoring of visitor profiles and sites visited, setting registration requirements and visitor criteria. It contains data, analytics, and advisories, and a mobile app for the mobile version of Visita Web's functions. It receives real-time notifications and can be used as a travel guide and for assistance. Technology also helped us reopen Boracay in cooperation with the Aklan provincial government earlier this month. They've been quite strict with the visitor requirements, and rightfully so. Potential visitors are required to submit online confirmed hotel bookings, air tickets, and a negative RT-PCR result obtained 48 to 72 hours prior to travel. Once approved, guests receive their personal QR codes, which will be used to access entry points and establishments, ensuring their safety and health on the island. All these initiatives are geared towards creating a touchless economy where information and transactions can be made online and mobile through one's smartphone. Apart from helping us monitor public health, technology also allowed us to innovate some of our traditional tourism products. The successful staging of the Philippine Travel Exchange, FITEX 2020, last month in Panglao, Bohol, was a breakthrough for the MICE sector. It was the first major hybrid travel trade event in the whole world held in the midst of the pandemic. Through FITEX, we brought together 122 international buyers from 34 countries and 345 seller delegates from 161 Philippine-based companies through our virtual platform, which enabled face-to-face virtual meetings, a virtual lounge area, fast and easy file sharing, and a more inclusive and participative format, yielding more than 42 million pesos in expected revenues. In a highly competitive environment, those that fail to innovate get left behind. Today, disruptive innovation and paradigm shifts to digital technology are needed for your business to thrive and survive. At the Department of Tourism, we believe that these tools are essential, not only for our stakeholders to meet the new demands of the market, but also to protect the health and well-being of our visitors, workforce, and our local communities. The pandemic may have hit the tourism industry hard, but we are far from its end. The glimmer of hope that is digital technology has given us the courage to try something new and different and tread paths that have not yet been explored. Thank you for having me here today, and mabuhay kayong lahat.
Thank you, Sec Berna. Our next speaker is a seasoned industry veteran and career executive, having received his undergraduate degree from the Dominican University of California. Originally from the real estate sector, his last posting was with the Metro Pacific Group as Senior Vice President of the Pacific Plaza Towers Development. He has since been with PLDT and serves as Vice President and Head of Corporate Relationship Management, heading the travel and hospitality industry among his various areas of responsibility. Please welcome Jay Lagdameo.
Secretary Puyat and Stewart have given us an understanding of the depth this crisis has brought and the expectations moving forward in the travel and tourism industry. I will walk you through the current situation, what's been happening, some of the challenges faced, how we have responded and reinvented ourselves to help support the industry. PLDT fully supports the idea of responsible tourism. The effects of the pandemic has pushed technological trends to merge, such as the need for touchless travel and digital platforms for guests and passengers. The travel and tourism industry, through a CX-centric approach, is constantly re-examining processes and practices to identify the different facets it can strengthen to protect all stakeholders amidst the pandemic. But these digital shifts are nothing unless we do our own individual part in practicing and complying with health and safety protocols. This change ultimately starts with you and me. We and PLDT are committed to helping our partners in the travel and tourism industry hand in hand in this process to instill the idea of responsible tourism. Also aligned with the principles of our CRO, Al Panlilio, we firmly believe in putting the customer at the center of everything we do. The status quo has already changed across all industries. We have primarily put in place enhanced support through 4 major points. First, reliable and secured connectivity. With the company workforce adopting a work-from-home setup, a secured network line is needed to ensure that all sensitive data, such as guest or passenger details, are only stored within the company's system, regardless if an employee is accessing from inside or outside the office. We have also introduced our Beyond Fiber solution, which aims to enable our clients' workforce with better internet connectivity given the remote setup that is required. Second, logistics and procurement. In anticipation of the reopening of the local tourism business and the influx of travelers, PLDT has strengthened its simple ERP solution to help our clients in the industry with a simplified and economic procurement platform so that they may provide the best customer experience possible. Third, helping power up emerging and contactless technology. PLDT is helping enable platforms in the travel and tourism industry that are geared towards compliance for health and safety measures. This includes self-check-in kiosks and contact tracing platforms. Fourth, you have virtual assistants and emergency hotlines. Due to the volume of inquiries such as rebooking and refunds from passengers at the onset of the pandemic, the travel industry have explored the use of virtual assistants to address general customer concerns. PLDT has doubled down its efforts to ensure that network lines are fully operational to support our clients. Our partners in the industry have also availed of outsourced emergency hotlines, chatbots, and contact centers, which are manned by highly trained agents for customers requiring human assistance. How should we move forward? Ultimately, it's really about encouraging the populace to travel again, which in turn will jumpstart the industry and support the entire travel and tourism ecosystem. In the immediate term, blasting of promos and seat sales, promoting bubble tourism, domestic bubbles like Baguio up north and Panglao and Siargao in the south. Some countries are even considering the bubble tourism template. These are the likes of Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, Singapore, Japan, China, South Korea, and Vietnam. The long-term solution, ultimately, domestic tourism is key. We need to feature and rediscover the beauty of the Philippines, showcasing of local destinations such as beaches, dive sites, hiking areas and trails, historical sites, golf courses, shopping, and the list goes on. Highlighting our unique culture, Filipino warmth, and hospitality. In closing, innovation and flexibility is key. The Philippine travel and tourism industry, armed with the learnings gathered from the effects of this pandemic, is constantly reinventing itself as we continue to coexist with the virus, while practicing safe and responsible tourism, putting the stakeholders in the center of all our collective efforts. With this, let's do our share and rediscover the beauty of the Philippines. Thank you, and here's to a productive session ahead. Hope you can stay until the end of our program. We'd be glad to address questions from our viewers.
Thank you, Jay. Again, we would love to hear thoughts and insights. Do key them in the chat box or post them in your respective social media accounts. When doing so, use the official event hashtags, hashtag Brace for Impact and hashtag PHDigicon2020. Now let's take a closer look at the technologies that have revolutionized the way we do business.
Hello everyone, my name is Angelo Garon. I am the head of the e-Service Department and Solutions for Multisys Technologies Corporation. I'm here to talk about the critical technologies and how we are reinventing the way businesses operate, especially in the travel and tourism sectors. This pandemic has given us a new perspective, a new understanding on how we operate our businesses. With the restrictions easing up and the flight schedules reforming, tourism is showing a great sign of return. But for the industry to return as a force of good, especially for both the economy and our public health safety, we are far from the old, also known as the business as usual. In the Philippines, all operating establishments are required to have a logbook, specifically for recording, monitoring, and contact tracing purposes as part of the COVID-19 response facing the new normal. Some local government units or LGUs advise their constituents to go contactless by using these contact tracing apps. And there are a lot to choose from. But how are these apps effective in actual contact tracing probable, suspected, and confirmed cases of COVID-19? With the proper guidance of our government agencies, we were able to develop a feature of Stay Safe that enables the establishments and companies to do that. Stay Safe was launched as the official contact tracing app of the country. Available on your smartphones right now. You can download it through Apple, through Android, and Huawei. It is free to use and it has features such as automatic detection of close contacts via Bluetooth, and self-reporting of COVID-19 symptoms. Another great feature of the app was its free digital logbook access for establishments. It had easy-to-use registrations for customers by only using their smartphones. Establishment admins have visitor logbooks and monitoring tools through a dashboard system. Contactless scanning using any smartphone. There is no need to buy handheld scanners for the establishments, but the establishments can just simply print out the QR code by the door and have their customers scan that so that they will be able to input their information. The idea behind this contact tracing app is for the system to anonymously record which people you have been close contact with throughout the day by using your phone's Bluetooth connection. And then if you get a confirmed coronavirus user that was, in close contact with you, the users that was close to that positive or that probable user will be notified. And this digital logbook feature of Stay Safe can help establishment to have their own contact tracing effort, and the discretion in allowing people who are tagged as not allowed to enter the premises. This not allowed users were either marked based on their self-reported symptoms or based from the tests from the labs and the LGUs. Non-app users can still scan the QR, which will lead them to a web-based form for the visitors to fill out. And at the end of the day, if contact tracing apps want to make a meaningful difference, they need to be embraced by a substantial portion of our population. If an establishment opts to use their own contact tracing app, we are willing to connect with them so they can effectively implement this contactless solution and to operate based on the health safety requirements of our government. So before stepping inside a building, a hotel, a restaurant, an airport, or wherever you will be going, remember what is most important is that you don't neglect the bread and butter of public health, where people don't think they can ignore social distancing, wearing a face mask, and hand washing. That will be all. Thank you so much and have a nice day.
Thank you. Now here to demonstrate and show us practical applications of various technologies, redefining how the travel and tourism sector can collaborate better in the new future of work, please welcome Smart Enterprise Postpaid Product Manager Gino Belgira and PLDT Enterprise Fixed Innovations Mickey Ruiz.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you are safe and well at home, in the office, or on the go. My name is Gino Belgira from Smart Enterprise.
And my name is Mickey Ruiz from PLDT Enterprise. Traveling has always been part of our daily life, be it for leisure, for work, or even those in between, and for the past few months have only remained in the realms of the hopeful.
We at PLDT Smart aim to bring that aspiration closer to reality by providing reassurance through our suite of solutions. We made it a point to look into the needs of both the traveler and the business, understanding that during these times, safety, reliability, and resilience are paramount. Our approach begins with a deep dive into the end-user journey and how this can be supported and sustained by local businesses in the hospitality sector through technologies and solutions of today and tomorrow.
But in order for us to understand the traveler, we would need to fully immerse ourselves into the needs of each one. For those traveling for leisure, rest assured that your safety would always be of paramount importance. Establishments have the option of being equipped with the Stay Safe app, which is an all-in-one solution boasting of community-driven contact tracing, health condition reporting, and a social distancing system, which even prompts alerts to keep distance from communities with COVID-19 cases. On top of that, contactless payments are very much prevalent in our portfolio. QR code scanning, as well as app-based payment platforms such as PayMaya, allow such transactions from the convenience of your mobile phone. All that's left to do is to sit back, relax, and enjoy that well-deserved vacation you've much been yearning for.
For local business travelers and remote employees that require mobile connectivity on the go, Smart provides the Philippines' fastest and most reliable LTE with 93% nationwide access and 4G availability, catering to 95% of the local population. Business travelers may enjoy up to 30% faster average download speeds and up to 90% faster average upload speeds compared to competition based on Ookla speed test intelligence as of first half of 2020. And with Smart 5G, take your mobile experience to the next level with up to 3 times faster download speeds for ultra high definition video streaming and lower latency for better gaming and surfing where available. 5G is available in key cities and is set to expand even further in the coming months. With Smart Enterprise, we enable business travelers to stay connected and to keep moving forward.
The smile of a total stranger, the voice of a loved one, the taste of something sweet, the warmth of an embrace. Simple moments remind us of what matters most. These moments make us believe there are better things ahead. These moments fuel us to carry on and keep moving forward. Sometimes when it feels like there's nowhere else to go, like nothing is going your way, when all seems hopeless, have the courage to move forward. Explore, discover, live. Sometimes it's the little things that keep us moving forward.
And for those who are seeking a bit of both, an escape from the confines of one's home, looking to settle down with a change of scenery, and yet who deem connectivity as an absolute necessity, it is imperative for destinations to be able to offer something beyond the usual. Beyond Fiber is a revolutionary connectivity service that boasts up to 50 Mbps bandwidth and operating at a minimum 90% subscribe speed and 90% reliability, and is the most ambitious fixed connectivity to date. To add, the service harnesses an extensive fiber optic network with over 322,000 kilometers of fiber cables spread across the entire country.
Inspiration, a deeply rooted passion, an unshakable motivation, the drive to get up and move forward, the ability to rise above hardships. But inspiration that once was around may now be hard to find. Businesses will never be the same again. We know that. And your customers do too. But what they don't know is, this isn't all there is. We hope to inspire you to look beyond the heartaches, challenges, failures, broken dreams, beyond the norm, beyond the expected, beyond where you've already been, beyond fiber. We want to inspire you to keep dreaming, to redefine what your new normal looks like, to go beyond limits with abilities that you could have. For managed equipment, business applications, brick and mortar solutions, online and e-commerce platforms, cybersecurity and IT support, and so much more. The best part? Inspiration begins at only 2,500 pesos a month. All bundled together with our fastest fiber optic network. There's so much more in store for you. You just need to find inspiration to look beyond. Beyond Fiber.
connectivity could further be augmented by our SD-WAN service, where each and every one of your branches can be assured of optimal performance despite large geographic distances. This is by way of having multiple types of links, be it LTE, fiber, or any private connection, have a means to talk to each other and remain dynamic in distributing the bandwidth consumed by your users. In the unlikely event that fiber facilities are not available within the area and mobile networks also seem to be weak, Fast Mile is our response. Fast Mile boasts of hypersensitive LTE modem that could detect and amplify signals from base stations within a 10-kilometer radius. Gone are the days of not being connected, and unavailability of facilities are no longer an excuse. Needless to say, we've got you covered.
Now that we've assured that the needs of different types of travelers are met, we now dive into the journey of actually booking their trips. But to some, the idea of being able to somewhat experience a destination prior to going is a deciding factor.
While nothing beats the real thing, with today's technology, we can get pretty darn close. Imagine being able to hear the waves crashing on the shores of Palawan. Imagine bearing witness to the sheer majesty of the endless rolling hills of Batanes. Imagine having to slightly shield your eyes as the sands of Boracay glisten like 1,000 diamonds at your feet. Imagine this from the comforts of your home. Virtual tours do not fail to be a feast for the senses. And now that we know that where we're going, how do we ensure that they book their travel with you? Gino, care to guide us through?
Thanks, Mickey. Travelers have a lot of options on how to book, and simply searching on the web would already open a multitude of options for them to choose from. SEM, or search engine marketing, provides that added push so that it's actually your websites that would have increased visibility from both paid and organic searches. Regardless of channels, we have a set of services that allow you to make the most out of your digital touchpoints to best engage your customers. On Facebook, our Sentiment Analytics app allows you to have a summarized view of the general sentiments of your online visitors by way of sifting through all their posts and comments, thus allowing you to tailor fit your interactions to meet business objectives.
If, on the other hand, location is your concern, visualization has never been easier thanks to the integration of Google Maps API. Travelers will be able to see your location directly from your website with the interactive map allowing user navigation, so there are no worries in getting lost. Now, on to the actual booking. Efficiency in this aspect is powered by Microsoft Bookings and thus makes the experience an absolute delight. Travelers can visit the booking page at their own convenience, book the time and service needed, get a confirmation email and calendar invitation, and reschedule or cancel as they wish. Microsoft Bookings shall also be integrated with your staff's Outlook calendar, thus making it easy for you to have an overview of all existing reservations and avoid the inconvenience brought about by double booking.
As far as payment is concerned, this can be collected conveniently upon booking through your website, as our PayMaya integration accepts any credit card your customers may opt to use. On the other hand, payment can also be collected directly from your establishments. We understand that safety is your and your customers' primary concern, thus the option for cashless payment with the PayMaya app is also available. It has a scan to pay function that lets you scan our QR codes to make contactless payments.
Good thing that Gino mentioned safety, as I'm sure that out of all the options we presented, this continues to be the most significant during these trying times. We highly value safety protocols, and we've made the effort to include these as capabilities of our latest technologies and digital solutions. Upon arriving, your customer's temperature will be taken and will be asked to fill out a contact tracing form. Of course, this will be done digitally to avoid any physical contact. We have multiple options from Stay Safe PH mentioned earlier, to Google Forms and QR codes, all designed for contactless, touchless, and seamless COVID-19 contact tracing solutions. On top of that, a thermal imaging camera is used to regularly check the temperature of all guests and staff in the vicinity, ensuring that everyone is safe and sound.
To minimize physical contact, self-service check-in kiosks are also available. These kiosks are fully automated and equipped with artificial intelligence to cater to your customers' needs and requests, such as early check-in, room assignments, room upgrades, and of course, guest verification and registration. Your rooms could also be equipped with keyless entry to make sure that your customers feel secure and safe during their stay at your establishments. Integration with the self-service kiosks will also enable smartphones to unlock rooms in just a few taps. And with that, you're ready to enjoy your trip.
Thank you, Gino. We have now completed the digital journey of our travelers from the perspectives of safety, reliability, and resilience.
It is our hope to provide some assurance to the local travel industry as we look forward to a near future where boundless opportunities are once again within reach.
The pandemic may have struck us down, but it will never be able to break our resilience as a people. We stand with you as we move forward and beyond every single step of the way.
Thank you once again for your time. For any inquiries, please feel free to reach out to your respective relationship managers. And with this, our presentation draws to a close. Once again, this is Gina Belgira.
And this is Mickey Ruiz, and we wish you all a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gino and Mickey. In one of the most disruptive times in history, there have been a lot of trends, research, and practices that have evolved along the way. Now let's talk more about this in the next presentation. To talk about customer experience in travel and tourism, please welcome Salesforce Regional Vice President for Alliances Asia, Stephen Casey.
Today, albeit briefly, about some of the things that we're doing within the travel and hospitality industry right now. I think everyone will agree that the travel and transportation industry is actually going through one of its roughest periods in quite some time, if ever. I don't think it's ever gone through a more difficult time than it has now with with COVID-19. But I think some of the challenges that we saw before are still relevant to the industry once we come out of this COVID-19 in the new norm. And I'd like to briefly talk to you guys about that today. It's a highly competitive environment. I think even for customers and employees, they're very challenging times within the industry. So just before we get kicked off, obviously Salesforce is a publicly listed company, so I do have to point you to the forward-looking statement, and if you make any purchasing decisions, please do so with technology that is available today. And if you really want to read this in detail, it is available on our website if you want to go into the detail. Okay, so obviously, companies are now able to connect with their customers in whole new ways. Okay, new technology, our technologies are being implemented. They're transforming the relationships with companies and with the customers that they're actually dealing with. I think fundamentally, though, when you wrap a lot of these technologies together, like AI or blockchain, or building custom apps or voice, there is a foundation of trust, and I think businesses must create trust with their customers in this time of the ever-growing amounts of data that's actually been captured by companies. We've talked about the fourth industrial revolution for quite some time now, and these technologies are actually providing new ways to engage with customers. But if we don't use technology the way that it's intended for, I think it would create mistrust within the customer bases. So it's a massive tenet for us within our organization. It's one of our key values at Salesforce. And I also find that, when you're dealing with technology and you intertwine it with trust, it actually increases the velocity of business. But, what I talked about earlier is saying that, many companies are still operating in very disparate and disconnected, scenarios, okay? There's a real gap and divide between the company and the customers, and to be fair, also the employees. It's not easy for companies to actually deliver, on the ever-changing customer expectations. Disparate systems pose great challenges. Data is actually it is very siloed within the organizations, and it's very hard for companies to connect to their customers in the manner that they actually expect. When they use consumer apps, they get the information that they need very, very rapidly. But I think COVID-19 has actually changed a lot of the expectations dramatically. I think, we're looking at now, top employee questions were typically centered around, good holiday leave, retirement benefits, path to promotion or advancement. Whereas customers and consumers, their expectations were traditionally centered around, the ease of doing business. How can you personalize product offerings for me? And what we're actually seeing that has actually changed in not only travel and transportation, but actually across industries as a broad spectrum. Employees now really care about workplace safety, balancing well-being with productivity when they have to work from home or work from anywhere in the world. We also find that customers equally have new expectations about how an organization or community experience should keep them safe and protected. We're seeing huge demand for buying online from customers rather than actually go into a store, right? So why would I have to go into a store and expose myself or potentially expose myself? You think about it this way and ask yourself this, how far apart are the tables in a restaurant? Have you actually thought about that when you went into a restaurant lately? Have you thought, well, do I need to go to the restaurant or can I just order online? Staycations are a big thing in Singapore. I know for a fact when I was looking, I was like, oh, I want to understand what the hotel's cleaning procedures are or what their policies are, how often they're cleaned. When my employer, reopens, how will it affect me or my family, or when travel starts again, like what's it actually going to mean for me, and am I going to be safe during that period? These are questions I never really asked before, but I think, hotels, airlines, they need to start considering these because employees and customers will start asking this. We actually feel that, at Salesforce, we've built a pretty solid solution to actually help them redefine work. And it will actually help organizations like yourself to preserve the trusted relationships with your employees, your workplace, and actually your community. And I think to ensure that organizations build trust and resilience when it actually matters the most. So with that, I just want to thank you very much for your time. Just a brief introduction about what we do at Salesforce, but I think you can agree that we are the platform to really help organizations monitor and manage these very difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And indeed, there's so much that enterprises, large or small, can do with the solutions and technologies we have today. So let's hear what some of them have to say and look forward to with our services. Let's all welcome the Bellevue Managing Director, Patrick Chan.
The mission of the Bellevue Hotels and Resorts is to consistently delight our customers by making them experience the Filipino hospitality through personalized service from caring associates inspired by the values of management. Unfortunately, I think the hotel industry is one of the hardest hit businesses in the worldwide due to the pandemic. I think our real goal is really to just survive and get past the pandemic. We believe that the hotel industry is a resilient business. I mean, it's one of the oldest businesses in the world. In fact, the oldest family business in the world is a hotel in Japan. Connectivity these days, I think, is one key player in continuing business despite the impact of the pandemic caused by the COVID-19 virus. 50% of our business now is done remotely. Most of our staff are working from home. It's with the help of our connections with PLDT and other technology providers that we're able to get our manpower involved through technology. The normal way of doing things has totally changed. And I think everybody is realizing that there's a lot more things you can do remotely. Thankfully, we were prepared by having a virtual server environment just upgraded recently, and having the connectivity from work from home employees, as well as our guests being able to use technology to connect to the hotel. These are all new things that we're working on for the new normal. We're adapting the hotel operations for that, so there will be less guest interaction. Well, moving forward, we're transitioning into a less contact environment, which is a new safety standard and protocol that's being encouraged by the Department of Tourism. And by doing so, we're going to need to have a lot of technologies that will help us connect to our guests even before their arrival, to ensure that we have a smooth transition, an online check-in, contactless payment, and contactless checkout. It's a different future for the hotel industry, and hopefully we can drive it together with our partners like PLDT and succeed and flourish in the future.
Thank you, Patrick. I hope your ingenuity and dedication inspire others in the industry to transform the way they do business.
Key in your questions, comments, and suggestions via the chat.
And now that you have discovered and learned about the latest technologies and solutions designed to reinvent your businesses, it's time for us to entertain your questions. At this point, let me introduce you to our esteemed panelists, beginning with Global Data Service Director for Asia Pacific, Dustin Kehoe. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sorry about that. My fault. It's good morning. Sorry. You have to retake that.
Okay, no problem.
So morning yung session.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye-bye. ID out in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And now that you have discovered and learned about the latest technologies and solutions designed to reinvent your businesses, it's time for us to entertain questions. At this point, let me introduce you to our esteemed panelists, beginning with Global Data Service Director for Asia Pacific, Dustin Kehoe. Dustin, good morning. Great to have you here with us.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, let's move on to PLDT Enterprises, Vice President and Head of Corporate Relationship Management, Jay Lagdameo. Excited definitely to hear your insights, Jay.
Good morning to all.
All right, and then let's move on to the Department of Tourism's Assistant Secretary for Branding and Marketing Communications, Howard Lance Uy. Great to have you here on board, Lance.
Morning. Great to be here as well.
All right. And we have EPDS's Product Management and Marketing Head, Clint Xiao. Good morning, Clint.
Hi, good morning.
Okay, and we also have the Marketing Communications Head of Multisys, Anna Vargas. Great to have you on board.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
All right, now to all our delegates, do engage with us by typing in your questions in the chat box. All right, I think we have our first question here. Starting off, this one is coming from Miss Makaspak. I believe this is addressed to Jay. Which technologies are you keen on leveraging in order to promote the health and safety of your customers?
Well, our role is to provide secured connectivity, whether it be at the home or the office, so that enterprises can connect to their businesses and customers and collaborate in forums such as this annual DigiCon. Again, responsible tourism starts with you and me. And in terms of technology, involves contact tracing applications, thermal scanners, mobile check-in, self-check-in kiosks, booking applications and the like. Booking your next meal at your favorite hotel, or even your next trip to your barbershop, or even your weekend tea time is all done through an application, thereby promoting physical distancing, great customer experience, operational efficiencies, and equally important, the health and safety of all stakeholders and patrons as well.
All right, so definitely also lots of opportunities here in order for us to make at least these leisure activities more satisfying, even despite the pandemic, of course. Now, let's move on to a question here for the public sector. Man Lacson is asking, Asik Howie, how can we ensure that tourism and leisure-related business continues to thrive despite of the natural and economic challenges?
In order for them to jumpstart in the pandemic, we are offering loans courtesy of the Bayanihan Act 2 to get them starting capital in order to innovate or upgrade their businesses to overcome the challenges brought about by this pandemic. But of course, in order for them to thrive, we need them to operate again, and that is why we have been collaborating and coordinating with various LGUs and stakeholders in order to slowly reopen destinations, in order for them to give a more sustainable livelihood, sustainable jobs when the time comes. But of course, it's also important that we innovate with the times. I understand that the pandemic has cast a lot of questions with regards to safety, and so what we're aiming for would be a contactless society. So this would involve a lot of digital transactions, a lot of other innovations that would minimize contact with when doing transactions. So it's really important that we put technology here already so that everyone can innovate and thrive in this new time.
All right, definitely technology is available to at least get over the worry of once again reopening the tourism sector. Now let's move on to another question here. Agnes Guanco is asking Clint, what are the top 3 must-have or essential solutions that a hotel business will need to actually stay afloat during the pandemic?
Okay, this is a very interesting question. But rather than looking at it on a solution perspective, I'd like to look at it as a top 3 need that should keep an organization afloat during this pandemic. First is the need for safety. We have to make sure that we operate on a safe environment and apply protocols that adhere to the standards set by the government. So how can we help here? We can provide a contact tracing application, thermal cameras, and even self-check-in kiosks to address the need for contact tracing and physical distancing to operate. The second need is resilience. The pandemic has literally put the travel and tourism industry to a full stop for a good 6 months. And we have to recover quickly. Everything now is done online and contactless. If your processes are not digital, it's going to be a very challenging year ahead. Here, we can help you with PayMaya to enable your business to transact online, and our process automation solutions to digitize your back-end processes that will kickstart your digital transformation. Lastly is the need for reliability. As mentioned, everything is done online, and it should be backed by a reliable internet. We have different connectivity solutions such as Beyond Fiber, which has 90% reliability for your business, and Smart Postpaid or Broadband packages, which has the nationwidest coverage for employees working remotely or customers needing a fast and reliable internet.
All right, so solutions are indeed available. You just have to really grab that opportunity. And next we have Mr. Garcia rather, asking Dustin, with all the changes happening in the industry, where should the sector look to place its investments?
Well, if you go back and look at the travel and tourism industry, everything about it has been very customer-centric and very competitive. And as we go into this era of cohabitating with COVID, every aspect of the buying journey has to be a little bit better, has to be a little bit more seamless, a little bit more customer-centric, and a lot less friction has to come out of the whole experience. And rather than looking at an individual technology, what I'm saying is you got to look at the whole buying journey. For example, when I'm booking something, maybe I'll be using more virtual reality. When I'm in transit, when I'm going to my destination, I'll be looking for in-flight entertainment systems, maybe borderless boarding or biometric boarding or some kind of technology boarding process onto an airplane or onto a bus or something a little bit easier. Then when you're actually doing the lodging, you might want to do smart check-in, maybe ways through the mobile app to make it contactless, to authenticate my identity through facial recognition, to know who I am and to give me a key. Maybe my mobile app is also the key. But essentially everything is really about making it easier, making it more intuitive, and making us to want to travel and also feel safe. That's what I think the technology can really start to play a role that transforms all of us, tourists and the industry alike.
All right, so an industry that knows how to cohabitate at least with COVID. Now this one, I have another question coming from Mr. Aura. He's asking, despite the restriction caused by the pandemic, how can you ensure that tourism will continue to thrive? I believe this is something that Asik Howie can actually answer.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, the priority of DOT is really on the safety of our workers and our tourists. Although we are still striking a balance on supporting the economy and allowing it to grow despite the pandemic. So to give you an example here, would be our Visita platform in Baguio City. So this program allows for contact tracing and contactless solutions to be implemented for visitors when they visit the city of Pines. So just to give you a quick rundown, guests are required to register through the website, and then they will be given a QR code. And the QR code is their access to all DOT accredited establishments while in the city. So the technology allows for a lot of contactless transactions to be had. So instead of paying the hotel, physically giving the card, it can be swiped through a QR code. All the access can be made through the app. And if in case there is a breakout, since you're already registered in the system, it would be easier to contact trace where you've been to or who you've been interacting with. So this is a platform that we plan to expand to the entire Region 1. And when proven successful and effective, we might actually have the system for the entire country. So these are just one of the ways where we can innovate in order to give confidence to the local communities and LGUs that reopening their destinations would be safe and would be beneficial to them without sacrificing the health of their constituents.
All right, contactless innovations for the tourism space. And speaking of which, this is something that Anna can answer. We have a question from Ms. Bautista. She's asking, there are lots of contact tracing applications nowadays to help establishments in checking and tracking customers' health. Is there a difference if establishment owners opt to use other systems aside from StaySafe.ph?
All right. StaySafe is actually not a mandated platform, so establishments can use any technology they're comfortable with at their discretion. But what's good about StaySafe is that it's the country's pandemic mitigation platform with contact tracing, health condition reporting, and social distancing system, meaning the COVID-19 cases registered by the LGUs and the laboratories, as well as health conditions reported by the app users, will be reflected into your system. Also, we've started implementing StaySafe to various establishments, like with the likes of SM, McDonald's, Jollibee, and many more. As of now, we have over 12,000. But coming back again to my first answer, this does not mean that you should stick to StaySafe. If an establishment opts to use a different technology, they can always integrate with us through an API, and that will help them also do contact tracing that are registered from the other LGUs and the laboratories too.
All right, but nonetheless, you have, of course, Stay Safe, promising lots of features here on how, of course, they are helping contact tracing efforts on a national level. Now, speaking of which, Jay, this is something that is addressed to you directly. You have Jaja Makidang asking, can you share a glimpse of PLDT products that will transform the future of work, especially in the tourism sector?
Well, that's a very good question. Although there are a lot of solutions, but I'd like to point out or highlight the two relevant solutions which were launched during the lockdown. In fact, Clint had mentioned about Beyond Fiber earlier, which is a all-in-one digital solution powered by Cisco Meraki and MS Teams, which is perfect because today the home is actually the office, the home is actually also the school. So it's actually a tool for collaboration. The other one is Simple ERP, or which is powered by SAP. It's your pay-per-use enterprise resource planning platform. Again, which allows the customer to pay as on a OPEX rather than as a CAPEX. But having said that, I think there are varied solutions, but it's best to better understand the customer's short, medium, and long-term roadmap. If they don't have a roadmap, then we can actually jointly craft one for them. So at least to better understand how we can move forward, since the industry is in a hard start mode as we speak.
All right, but definitely no shortage of products that are available for this sector. Now, Dustin, this is a question coming from Ms. Pineda. She's asking, how do you think network and cloud adoption will change in the travel and tourism industry?
Well, if you look at the dynamics and all of the things we're trying to do, all the applications we want to unleash to change the industry for the better, all of this is going to be very much deployed from a cloud environment. We cannot build, separate sort of IT silos for each and every individual deployment. Will never scale. That's one aspect. The second is, I think it was said previous, the home is the office, is the school, and it is everything else. We have to configure our networks differently. So it's not necessarily the capacity that's in the ground, it's how in which they're configured. They may be fixed, they may be wireless, they may be a mixture of the two, but it's how we provision these capabilities to support the travel and tourism industry. That's from the travel side, but as well as the tourist side. The average tourist will be using more location-based services because we will not be doing tour guides in big groups. We might be going out on our own, doing things, promoting and practicing safe distancing. So it works on both sides, and that's what I think some of the changes that we can look forward to.
All right, some new adaptations here to at least consider in the industry. Now, Asik Howie, you have a question here. Ropa Gemna is asking, how do you see tourism in the next 2 to 5 years moving forward?
Thank you. Whether or not a vaccine will be developed within this time frame, definitely we will not be going back to the way things were before. Safety, of course, will still remain enhanced. I think people can't revert to the old ways of how we used to clean things. But definitely, after this, everything will be more online, more wireless, more contactless. A lot of our stakeholders have already transitioned to the digital platform. They're selling even the small MSMEs are now starting to sell their products and their services online. So this is something that we're not seeing to regress back to offline ways of operating their businesses. So if for anything, the pandemic has actually helped us or helped the entire MSME industry transition to e-commerce and digital marketing. So as you mentioned, there's no shortage of products. I think businesses will have a lot of choices in terms of customizing or personalizing the products and services that are relevant to their operations. So definitely moving forward, everything will be digital. In fact, we're doing our MICE events in a hybrid edition, meaning there's part on ground, but we don't really need to fly a lot more people to our events already. The pandemic has allowed us to see this possibility that it's possible to conduct events also in an online space and to actually create networks, relationships, and even deals through various online platforms.
All right, so the only way to go from here on is really digital, no reverting back, even post-pandemic. Now we have another question here for Clint. This one is coming from MJ Villegas. There's a lot of small, medium hotels all over the country that are still very traditional. Now, how can PLDT or ePLDT help convince them to transition to become fully digital?
Yes. Okay. So it's very important to communicate the digital shift to these small and medium hotels. That's why PLDT Enterprise have this annual DigiCon to spread and inform how digital transformation creates an impact to their business. And we have been consistently at the forefront of spreading and providing digital solutions all throughout the country. And I think more than how we convince them, but we should also look at rather why they should become fully digital. The main reason is business survival. Competition is very tough, and to be relevant in the market, they should fully transition to digital. To name a few examples, data is now a necessity rather than being nice to have like a few years ago. You cannot do any work without having data. For hotels, online presence is a must, and without proper SEO, SEM, or any digital marketing strategies, your customer or the tourist won't be able to find you online. And if they can't find you online, you are losing a lot of sales or opportunities. You have to remember that a tourist spends lots of time researching and creating their itineraries when they travel. So if they can find you online, you literally don't exist for them. I would like to look at it that your online presence is your real estate now. On top of that, digital transformation might sound intimidating or daunting for small and medium hotels due to the complexities of digital solutions, but we also understand that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. As mentioned by Asik Howie, we are able to personalize this solution based on the immediate need of your business. You are able to adapt to it one by one. And lastly, as your digital transformation partner, we want you to leave the complexities to us.
Okay, so it's no longer a question of if you're going to digital, it's a question of when are you going to go digital with your business. Now, we still have a number of questions coming in. We have, in fact, coming from Rizzi Santos. She's asking Anna, as we are slowly lifting travel restrictions, what extra steps can the travel and tourism industries do to improve the safety of their establishments? Anna?
All right. Shifting to technology can be quite overwhelming, especially for those who had zero online presence or they are small, medium, micro enterprises. But businesses can go the extra step as far as deploying like robot-operated thermal scanners. But that really depends on how the business operates. For us, small businesses can start from using free tools that people can adopt, such as using their smartphones, connecting to Wi-Fi. It's really easy. Like everything is at your hand, at the palm of your hands right now. Such as with Stay Safe, we actually give the contact tracing platform for free for establishments, and you don't actually need to have a QR scanner for it. You can just print it on in front of your on the front of the door, and people could be scanning the QR code immediately, and by then you could already see the digital logbook happening and the contact tracing happening. So as easy as that, as easy as printing your QR code in front of your establishment. You don't need to add another device and such. I mean, that's how easy taking the extra step of safety can go. Aside from the typical you can only operate at 50%. You have to have a thermal scanner as well. So there are other free tools that the travel and tourism industries can do to slowly but surely ensure the safety of their establishments.
All right, so definitely there are tools, options, platforms, programs available. You just have to take advantage of it. And lastly, Jay, I want to ask you this one. Can you please share your final message and key takeaways for the viewers with us today?
Collectively, we have managed to reinvent ourselves and coexist with the virus by strictly complying with health and safety protocols and the use of technology. Let's all continue to rethink and upskill and digitalize the way we do things so that sooner rather than later we can explore the beautiful islands of the Philippines.
Okay, definitely excited to at least travel again, domestically at least. So that's something we're definitely going to look forward to. Thank you very much to our panelists at this point. We would like to thank our presenters and panelists for spending the memorable afternoon with us. Special thanks to our official event partners. To all our delegates, thank you all for tuning in. Again, you can get a chance to win exciting raffle prizes just by answering our feedback form that will be flashed on your screens after the program. Once again, I am Jess De Los Santos, and this has been the eTRAVEL and Tourism Breakout Session of the Philippine Digital Convention 2020, brought to you by PLDT Enterprise, Smart, and ePLDT.